Steno Matt said a couple weeks ago that he needs to see more consistency out of Josh at center, and that's when you kind of started working Zach there. How do you think Josh has responded since then?
I think he's responded pretty well. He's had some pretty solid practices. Still some things to work through, but he's doing a good job.
Duty said that Jordan's going to play tomorrow, or seemed to strongly suggested Jordan is going to play tomorrow. What are you looking to see out of him?
Yeah, same thing. Command of the offense, doing a great job in and out of the huddle, and then just reading his progressions, taking what the defense gives you.
Steno, what did you think of how your offense functioned yesterday, especially in the joint practices, and what can you take from some of maybe the less than ideal moments?
Yeah, after when I went back and watched it, there was a lot of really cool teaching things from that practice, situationally, just schematically from what the defense presented us. You know, we had a lot of good looks in the red zone of some different things that they do that our defense doesn't do. So there was a lot of good teaching things there. Obviously, all the fights and things like that. That's just something we got to make sure we maintain our poise. So yeah, a lot of good stuff came out of that, and I think it'll help us in the long run.
Coach, at one point during 2-minute yesterday, you're talking about command of the offense. There was a slot blitz essentially, and Jordan hit Aaron Jones out in the flat, kind of right where the guy gets vacated. Is that the sign of a guy who has pretty good command of the offense, knowing exactly where?
Yeah, that's the things, you know, when you see a quarterback making those decisions, know where your problems are and knowing how to take advantage of it. That's exactly what you want to see from your quarterback for sure.
One kind of silver lining the players were telling us yesterday about the skirmishes was they could really back each other and show each other that they supported. I know Tucker Kraft said, hey, I would go to bat for anyone here. Have you seen that as a unit, this young offense really coming together for you?
Yeah, I definitely have. We got a really tight group, and guys have each other's backs, which is really cool to see.
Were you ever in a fight back in your?
Oh yeah.
For yourself?
I've been involved in a few of those. Yeah.
I mean, those hardly ever happen, though, right? I mean, other than the joint practice, like I
Yeah.
can't remember one under Matt.
Yeah. Now you don't see it as much as you used to, obviously, but that's the one thing. You know, we were talking about that the other day. Like we had them in Cincinnati, and fortunately, the first day there wasn't anything. But then when you come back a second day, there's usually something that arises from somebody. So I'm just glad we worked through it, and obviously we can learn from all that stuff.
You guys' offense seemed to have, you know, some success the first day, and then they had some ups and downs the second day. Is having a little success and maybe facing adversity, is that benefits on both ends for you guys?
One of the things, you know, we talk about a lot as a group is just maturity and consistency, and that's kind of the things that we have to build. Obviously, we have a lot of young guys at a lot of different positions, so it's just being a consistent player, having that mature mindset every single day to go out there and be a professional and perform. So that's one thing we got to make sure we do every day.
You guys through all your installs yet?
For the most part, yeah.
So at what point do you guys say, okay, this is what our group is going to be good at, this is what Jordan's good at, and then tailor that, you know, toward what you want to do?
I think that usually happens about halfway through the season, where you're kind of, you have ideas, you keep working through it, but the hard thing is right now, we have so much competition at a lot of different areas, we still don't even know what our roster is going to look like yet, you know what I mean? So you have an idea of where you want to go, but at the end of the day, you still got to wait to see, all right, who are the guys that are on the team, now how can we, you know, make our offense the best it can be.
So how hard is that offensive game plan week 1, 2, maybe when you're still feeling that out?
Yeah, it can be challenging for sure, especially when you throw in injuries and stuff like that into the mix. That's always, you know, a challenge as far as how are we going to feature certain guys, how are we going to run the ball, what are we going to do. So that's always a challenge every week.
Do you feel like you know Jordan's best 3 throws are this, this, and this?
Yeah.
You know that now?
Yeah, you know what he's comfortable with, and then obviously things that you want him to be good at, that you want him to work on. So those are the things right now, you know, you talk with Tom, you talk with Matt, and try and make sure he's put in those situations to expand, you know, what he's good at.
Adam, I know you're not going to rewrite the tight end responsibilities just because Musgrave got here, but you've got to be kind of having some fun, adding some new pages of the possibilities.
Yeah, no, Him and Tucker are doing a good job, and yeah, they both are very explosive players. But obviously, Luke, he presents a lot of problems for defenses down the field, which has been pretty cool.
So did you draw up the tight end jet sweep, or does somebody else get credit for that?
No, I did. Yeah. Just wanted to see what would happen. So, yeah.
So what happened was he got 3 yards?
Yeah, got a few yards. Let's see what happens.
I understand that a touchdown would have been even better, but does that speak to just what a unicorn this guy is? In
Yeah,
terms of-
no, anytime you can get a guy and move him around and put the ball in his hand in different ways, I think defenses have to be on alert for pieces of, positional players that can do stuff like that. So, I don't know, we'll see how we use them as we go forward.
So since you guys aren't on Hard Knocks, since we can't see this kind of thing, so you're in a meeting and you say, hey, how about we give it to Luke on a
Yeah.
tight end jet sweep, or how, and what is the response? Can you kind of take us into that meeting?
The cool thing about our staff is we're all very creative guys, and we like stuff like that. So we're always trying to just find different things to do and different ways to get the ball into our playmakers' hands and stuff like that. So everyone's pretty excited, and once we told Luke, he was pretty excited too. Even the backs were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, let's go." I thought it was pretty cool.
Coach, I know it's not always an ideal world up on the offensive line, and you got to move pieces around. But do you have a feel yet for what Zach Tom's best position is if he could play, anywhere?
Yes and no. Zach's a pretty unique guy, just like Elton, where you can move him around and he'll be pretty solid in a lot of different spots. So I should say no, because I still think that he's just got the ability to play all across the board and be a pretty solid player.
How far has he come at right tackle? I mean, obviously, he played left in college. Where is he at right now with that?
He's done a great job. Yeah, he's done a great job. And he kind of knows his strengths and weaknesses. And, his size, he's not your typical right tackle where he's a big, giant dude. And so he's just got to have a different kind of play style. And I think he's doing a good job with that.
Is there a reason he's gotten so many more reps there on the right side than Yosh? Do you know what Yosh is, or is he the leader right now for that job?
I think, yeah, we're still kind of working through that. But at the end of the day, if David wasn't in there, that's kind of how we saw it for whatever reason at that point, So it's just working forward, trying to move him to different spots. We had him at guard the other day. He's taking some center reps, so just kind of working through how we're going to get our best 5 out there.
Along those lines, Dave made 5 straight All-Pro teams before he tore that ACL. Do you think he still has that consistent level of play in him?
Yeah, I do. It's just us managing, the knee and all that stuff, and just making sure he can get out there on Sundays. But he's been such a good pro, just keeping his body ready, keeping his mind ready. One thing, you see him out there in walkthroughs where he's not taking that toll on his knee, and everything he's doing is taking his sets, taking his footwork, just being really intentional with his work so he can get those mental reps and then go out there and play. So he's been doing a good job.
So back to Zach, I understand the position flexibility and what it does for you, I get all that. But if he's competing for the starting job at right tackle, aren't you doing him a disservice, maybe the team as well, to not just let him play right tackle so he can be the best possible right tackle he can be for week 1 if that's how you end up going?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you take reps away from a guy in the spot that he could be starting at, you're always doing that. But I think at the end of the day, with Zach, he's not a big guy that needs to have a ton of reps here because he can't mentally handle it. So I think it helps him as a whole, as an offensive, just seeing the big picture of playing different positions too. So there's pros and cons to it for sure.
How valuable were the last 2 days in regards to evaluating your run game? It's not like you do a ton of work comparatively when you're just by yourself, but it seemed like the lines really got after it.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was awesome. Just because of the different style of defense that the Patriots have. So, you talk about it every week. You go into a game plan and you're like, all right, this is the kind of style that this defense is. So getting these young guys out there and just playing against a different opponent and seeing their strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that, and then watching us go out there against them, trying different schemes, trying different guys at different spots, you know, to see who can perform. It's been super valuable, and it's been really fun.
What are you looking for most in that third running back spot?
You kind of want a guy that you can get a guy that's kind of, you know, your good average all-around back. No, I shouldn't say average, but just a good all-around back. He can help in the run game. He can help in protection. He can help on special teams. A guy that can do that. But you can take a guy that's super fast, and now you can have a package for him, you know, in a different role. So it's just, there's a lot of different areas you could go with that spot. So we'll just find the best player for us.
Adam, what would you like to see Sean Clifford work on tomorrow night?
There's a few things. But I think for him, getting the play, analyzing the play in his brain, spitting it out to the offense, going up to the line of scrimmage, and just being as smooth as possible executing. There's a few snaps last game where he kind of lost the play in his head. And so and that happens to every rookie quarterback, and you know, quarterbacks in general, it can happen. But that would be the biggest thing for me, is just getting the play, knowing what to do, communicating it, and then just going out and executing it.
Steno, when you were back wearing number 68 back in '07,
Yeah.
you know, preseason was a little bit different. Yeah, just trying to show. Preseason was different, right? Like Tausch and Cliffy and those guys would still play a pretty significant amount even. And obviously there's been a big shift since then. Now we're back to, you guys got a bunch of young guys and Goody's up here talking about how they all need to play despite the risk. What are the things for you as an offensive coordinator that you're taking from Jordan and all these young guys' snaps together, even though you're not running the stuff you're going to run against the Bears necessarily? What are the maybe 2 or 3 most important things that you're getting from them playing this much in games that don't count?
The most important thing is building trust with each other. So no matter what play you're running, it's here's the play, here's your job, go out and do your job. And that's every single guy, blocking, quarterback, receivers, running backs, just building trust together in those environments where you don't have control. You know what I mean? Like in a game-like environment. So I think that's the most important thing when you got any group of guys, is just building that trust together. And that's why it's so important to get those guys on the field in those situations.
And it's that different than when you call the same play in at Ray Nitschke Field and everybody's got to do their job correctly to make
it is. It is, because you're in a game. And a lot of times in practice, you're scripting plays so they can look over it before and study it. And now it's a game. 1st and 10, here's the call. Oh no, we lost yards. Now it's 2nd and 13. Here's the call. So it's just like going through games, getting the calls from the play caller, getting the calls to the offense, and then going out and executing. Whatever the situation is, it's just so valuable that it just takes time and reps to build that trust and build that knowledge.
You calling it tomorrow?
We'll see. Maybe.
We'll see. He hasn't told you yet, or we'll see you're not telling us?
I'm not telling. It's a secret.